this week on Pivot with Purpose.
When you're in the music industry, you're around a lot of toxic masculinity. So I had a very negative view of men. I thought they were all disgusting. They used their power for wrong. I got hooked up on a blind date and I sit down with this guy and he's so self-aware. He's spiritually, mentally evolved. I could tell he was living in his purpose. He mentored young men. And the way he talked, I had never met a man like that before in my life. And I remember thinking, it's because of what you do. And I remember thinking, there's no way this type of man is going to date a woman like me. So I wanted to change my life that day. So girl, I went home and a month later, I moved to Arizona and started plotting my shift.
Hey friend, you're listening to Pivot with Purpose. This is my show where I pivoted from shit I'm 30, where I was dreading turning 30. I had a failed marriage, failed engagement after that, and I don't have a relationship with my immediate family. But through it all, I came out the other side with a thriving business, an unexpected radio morning show of my own, and a platform where I can reach millions of people and help them walk in their truth. I am now celebrating every step of my journey into continuously finding my purpose, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Sometimes this journey looks like shit, and it probably sounds even worse, but it's still our journey, and I'm learning right along with you to enjoy it. There's always a rainbow after the rain falls. Now, if you need advice in pivoting in any aspect of your life, relationships, career, spirituality, send your questions or story to askcarlawilmaris@gmail.com or shoot me a DM at Carla Wilmaris. Now, let's start the show. Welcome back to another episode of Pivot with Purpose. It's me, your girl, Carla. Thank you for being here. You could be anywhere else. You could be with your boyfriend. You could be sucking a couple. YouTube is going to demonetize me. You could be anywhere in the world right now, shopping, hanging out. You probably are because it's a podcast, so you could be listening. But thank you for coming back for another week. I've been trying to really be consistent. There's a week here and there that we don't show up, but I make sure that you have other pods to listen to. If you've been under a rock, we announced that No For Sure was over. That's with B. Simone and Megan Ashley. But the good news of that is that it's not completely over. We have Megan Ashley doing In Totality, and that it's a great message. You know how I do the Bible verse at the end of the show? It's because I have my own relationship with God, but I don't even know how to articulate it with words and really teach you more than what I can feel, but she be knowing because she went to school for it or whatever. So she's really good with that, and I think the show really took that direction, so that's really good. Shout out to Tiffany D. Lofton with How We Get Free. We just did an episode with her as well, and she was able to really explain to me Palestine and Israel, the whole thing. I don't even know in politics. So that's a pod that we produce that really teaches us about politics and unions and coming together and fighting for the greater good of us. Who else we have? Holding Court with Ebony K. Williams is coming back very soon for season 3. And This Too Shall Pass is back. Ariel is back. Y'all know she got 5 kids, and I have 13 children when it comes to all the pods, plus my own kid and no help. So I'm always all over the place, but we got her back in the studio, so we'll stay more consistent with This Too Shall Pass. And there are a lot more things coming into play. Now, one thing I have not spoken of, I said I had an announcement to make, and I guess I'm really announcing it next week on social media, but I don't know when this is going to come out, so let's just say it anyway. I signed a deal to be the production company for a new show with iHeart and Will Packer. Now, little did I know when 6 months ago they reached out to me, it was there was an email, but the email said XO Necole. And I was like, well, why is their blog? My breakup was not that serious. We're not that known. Who's hitting me up? So I realized that Will Packer Media, am I saying it right, bought out XO Necole. And I was like, oh, interesting, cool. As the weeks went by, or a couple months later, I get a DM from hellonecole. And I'm like, well, not everybody spells Nicole N-E-C-O. I'm like, think this is the same girl. This has to be her. So when I looked, it was. So how crazy how the world kind of puts things together into the universe. So after chit-chatting, I was like, well, girl, come on. And she's here. So welcome. And thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me. You're like my bestie in my head. Just a little.
Let's be friends, girl.
I know.
And I'll be in Atlanta so we can hang out. So before we get started, because Nicole is here to hang out with us today and chat, and we're going to have so much fun. It's going to be deep. This is going to be a serious Pivot with Purpose episode. There's so much pivoting. There's so much living in your purpose. There's just a lot of it. So we're going to talk about it in a fun way because that's what we do. But I do want to shout out Nike Cortez. 14 says, I love it here, Carla. You be having all my faves. I love Jessica and her platform, for real, for real. I think you're talking about Jessica Rose. I low-key already had peeped how dope you were. Stop. I love me. Especially since recently I've been getting dragged on the internet. I peeped how dope you were, but I love how you opened up about where your business sense came from. You're a bad businesswoman mama. Keep it going. You are natural. I love y'all sometimes. Thank you. I definitely use this platform to just be open about where I've been, where I come from, even when it's the negative reviews that I'll read on here, because I'm not everybody's cup of tea or shot of tequila, and that's fine. They can find it somewhere else. If you don't like my pod, I produce other ones, or there are like 2 million other ones. Go over there. Over here, we be hanging out and having fun, and we relate to each other, which is why you're here too, because I know you sent me some messages and such. You're like, I'm watching this show and I'm cracking up or like listening to it. And also, I found you technically... Well, everybody knew of like Necole Bitchie and Exo Necole, but I never put a face to the name. It's one of those like I had never put...
Did you ever wonder like, who is this person? Ever?
No.
It just didn't even click.
Because, and it might sound crazy now, me being in radio and having to do like celebrity gossip in the morning, I've never been into celebrity gossip. So it's really...
I didn't even know you were... So you have to report the celebrity news on the radio now?
3 times every morning.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Monday through Friday. And I can understand why you probably felt the way that you did. Mm-hmm. Because and mine is only like a 3-minute segment, 3 times in the morning. So it's not a lot, but there's a lot that you intake from there.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
You guys might understand. You know her back from Necole Bitchie days. That was the celebrity blog. Then there was Exo Necole, which was more for like us. I like that one. Yeah. The Exo Necole one was cool. I was like, it was like a black Cosmo for me.
Yeah, that's exactly what we were going for.
Oh, look at that. Well, you gave it. Yeah. Because I remember growing up reading Cosmo and like I was like, well, I don't really relate to what they're saying. And then Exo Necole did that. And then you left all of that. So I kind of want to go, for those that don't know you. Yeah. I know someone DM'd me. It was actually Shay. She's like, oh, I remember them Necole Bitchie days. And I'm like, you messy. Because if that's what you was loving, you like that. You love the shade room, don't you? So like in a short, concise, because we're going to go more into like the business aspect and moving in your purpose. Like who the hell is Necole?
Who am I? It's so weird because there was a time where I wouldn't let anyone like reference the Necole Bitchie days. It's almost like I wanted to like
disappear,
delete them out of the sphere. And so, but then I realized it's a part of my story. And without Necole Bitchie, we would have never been led to Exo Necole. Without Exo Necole, we wouldn't have been led to myhappyflo. So I have to embrace that part of the story. But who am I? A lot of people came to know me as Necole Bitchie, one of the top celebrity gossip bloggers in the world.
I know that's right. No, that's right.
You know, now years later, I'm able to embrace what we did back then. I mean, that site was getting about 20 million page views a month. You know, it's hard to get people to visit a website
and that
now.
Was what year was that when you started that?
I started in 2008.
Okay.
And so, yeah, and I left in 2015. So I have this thing right now where I launch a company and then after 7 years, it's like 7 is the number of completion. And then I move on to something else. And so
is that on purpose or you just feel like...
I mean, it wasn't on purpose, but it just worked out that way. Right. So I did it with Necole Bitchie and then I was at Exo Necole for 7 years.
And where did Necole Bitchie go? It just went bye-bye or you sold it to someone?
I actually shut that website down. I had offers to sell it, but I knew as long as whoever was running it, I would always be looked at as Necole Bitchie. So I wouldn't be able to control like my image. I'd still be walking around and people be like, you know, I saw this on your site. And it's like, I'm no longer there. Kind of like now, like Exo Necole is still up. Right. I'm not a part of it. There's something on the internet with my name on it. I don't know what's being written on the website every day. So it is a very weird thing, but it's not as bad as if
it was Necole Bitchie.
Yeah.
Because of the different brand.
Oh my goodness.
So you leave Necole Bitchie, you were just tired. What was that feeling? Because I feel like there's people that are listening, right? And we're going to talk about your transitions from business to business and your mindset. So that mindset then, what did you feel like leaving? Why did you feel like leaving? You just said you got 20 million impressions, honey.
I know.
So it was popping.
But I, you know, I I got really, really big. I'm only saying that because when you're behind a computer, you don't understand how your your fame outside of the computer.
And how the world views you.
Yeah. I'm sure B Simone and Megan and all these people that you work with that be getting these big platforms. Like one day you look up, you walk outside, and everybody knows your face. And
Right.
you can't go into the mall, you can't go to a restaurant without. And that's what happened, and that was a very uncomfortable thing for me, especially with the type of site it was. I felt like I was always looking over my shoulder, like you just never knowing. I've had private investigators show up at my house. I think
For
a
what?
really famous private investigator, Scott Ross. He was involved in the Michael Jackson trial back in the day, but I'm bringing it up because it's so fresh because I think with everything that came out with, Cassie Diddy lawsuits
Mhm.
this week, someone tried to drag my name in it and said, I heard that's the real reason why Necole shut down her site. And so I was like, okay, girl.
You're reach. You're reaching.
One thing I do not want to do is get caught up in that story, but I knew she probably had heard me tell a story before for a long time. I hope me saying this out loud, but I had a private investigator come to my house in 2009 when I lived in Atlanta, and I didn't open the door because I thought it was maintenance and it was super early. I'm like, why is maintenance knocking on my door 7-something in the morning? But then they went to my UPS box where Necole Bitchie was registered. And that guy called that owned the UPS store. And he was like, we're not supposed to give out your number, but there's a private investigator in the store. And he said the names like Diddy. So I was under the impression all this time that Diddy sent the private investigator to my house. And it was over like some Rihanna and Cassie nude pictures that someone tried to sell me. And I'm not that type of blogger. So I declined. But he was trying to like put the pieces together because it was during the time Rihanna, Chris had their thing. So long story short, I think people heard that. I saw him in an interview, the private investigator, and he actually admitted he came to my house. He was sent by Chris Brown's lawyers because they were just trying to make sure they cleared Chris's name. So it wasn't like they were, but they were trying to clear Chris's name of leaking photos.
But you never picked up those photos.
Oh, girl, I'm just not that type of blogger. I didn't want them type of problems.
You know
and
what comes with it.
It was, I really loved Cassie back then. I really loved Rihanna. I don't know how that person got a hold of
the pictures.
Yeah, but it was, I say all that to say, I don't think I've ever lived in a building that wasn't secure since then. In terms of like every building or location I stay in has to have a concierge. You gotta use multiple key fobs to get up the elevator because that just scared. That's
so
scared
you lived.
me.
Although you grew really fast, I'm sure money was flowing in. You were doing well, and from the outside, it's like, oh, you have it all. You weren't.
I didn't have any peace. And if it costs you your peace, it's too expensive. Right. I say it all the time. I didn't have any peace. And but I will say I have an interesting story because we were talking about him. And I don't know if I want to say his name on here, but he was one of the reasons why I actually pivoted.
Okay.
A little bit. And the reason why.
Our mutual friend?
Yes.
Oh, girl.
Yeah.
That'd be fine.
Yeah. So the reason why I'm telling these random celebrity stories, this is not going to be the entire podcast. Trust me. So there is a relationship guru.
Okay. Ooh.
That
okay.
he be also hooking up celebrities. And so he called me one day to check in on a celebrity woman. And I don't want to put this relationship guru out there. Fine. I was like, you calling me about all these different people. When are you going to hook me up?
Right.
Because, it's hard to date as a blogger.
You can Google me, therefore I'm a celebrity too. Hello.
Yeah, when are you going to hook me up? And so he said, I have somebody, but he love himself some Jesus.
Hilarious.
He said, I have somebody, he love himself some Jesus, but he said, don't mess this up. He's a good guy. So long story short, I got hooked up on a blind date with someone me and her know mutually. And nothing ever romantic happened. But the first time I sat down with him, when you're in the music industry, you're around a lot of toxic masculinity.
I think it's industry, period.
Yes. And so I had a very negative view of men. I thought they were all disgusting. They use, their power for wrong. Like, and I sit down with this guy and he's so self-aware. He's, spiritually, mentally evolved. I could tell he was living in his purpose. He mentored young men. And the way he talked, I had never met a man like that before in my life. And I remember thinking, it's because of what you do. And I remember thinking, there's no way this type of man is going to date a woman like me.
Wow.
So I wanted to change my life that day. Like, because if that's going to expose me to higher quality people, not just even men, but just
even
period.
Friends and
Right.
business people.
Friends,
all of
business people, etc. Like, it's almost like I got snatched out of the Matrix and like, no, this is real life. Like, there are really good people out here.
We're going to take a break from the episode because our friends at Frito-Lay know that joy is bold, vivacious, and contagious. Joy gives life flavor, rhythm, and vibes. And when joy takes flight, it can't be contained. It's robust, more than a smile or a laugh. It's an infectious experience. So here's to all the creators that inspire us with your creativity and passion. Let's keep filling the world with joy. And make sure you look out for My Joy campaign, powered by Frito-Lay. Let's get back to the show.
So, girl, I went home, and a month later, I moved to Arizona and started plotting.
Really?
Plotting my shift.
Okay, so right after that's when you left Necole Bitchie.
I went to Arizona and I left Necole Bitchie 6 months later.
Wow.
I picked a date, which was in July, and I counted backwards. And so
it's like you never know who God is sending you to kind of like put a little fire under you or to just move you or to like open your eyes to something different. Because everything I just heard was like, is your experience is the one that allowed you to believe that men are terrible, which I mean, we see it all the time. But then I also see people and men that are there for their families, him being one of them, and so many others. I have a cousin who's amazing. I see men that love their wives, especially that couple, like they're around other couples that are together. And again, it's not to say they don't have their own issues.
Yeah.
Because my goodness, every couple has their issues, but there are men. I mean, Carlos is here, the owner of the studio, like him and Carolina. It's like, I see them and I'm like, man, he loves her. They respect each other. They do work together. And I can't allow what I see on a regular basis on the internet or on the Shade Room to shape what every man is out there, right? I'm still gonna find my man. I got done dirty this last time. And before that, maybe I was a little toxic. So I haven't found my one, but I don't want to believe that there's not my one out there. I don't care how old I get.
Yeah.
Like they're gonna be out there somehow, some way.
Especially, and I feel like as I've done the work, especially healing work and just.
Carlos wanted me to mention how great of a husband he is again. And father, and how lucky Carolina is to have him. He wanted me to say that. No. So we're speaking on the fact that you chose to change certain things about yourself when you decided that you wanted to attract a different type of energy. Honestly, not just man, right?
Yeah,
it's like
not
men,
just men, friendships, everything.
Probably
like,
fix things with family.
Absolutely.
So you go to Sedona, and what are you focusing on?
So I went to Scottsdale, Arizona, actually, which is probably like 2 hours from Sedona. The only reason why I went out there because Oprah and really high level people would always talk about going to Arizona, like for healing and relaxation.
Right.
So I had never really been out there, but I was like, shoot, all the rich people going out there, I want to go too. Like, it must be something out there for me.
Right.
But what did you ask me just now?
Oh, I said, what did you go there to change? What was your intention and what did you start changing about yourself?
I knew I couldn't be in LA and New York anymore if I wanted to evolve in this higher version of myself. And so you can't really be around people that kind of hold you to this. It's almost like they put you in a box and there's this idea they have of you. I needed to get away from all of that. So I knew I wasn't going to be around any friends out there. Like I could literally go out there and redefine who I am and reinvent myself. And so
what were some of the characteristics that you wanted to change?
Man, I mean, honestly, going back to being at breakfast, because we had breakfast and the person told me, I tell young players, if you're serious about a woman, don't take her out for drinks because drinks can lead to something else. Take her to breakfast or lunch earlier in the day,
Daytime dates. Ooh, I love it. Oh, I love daytime day because I'm sleepy at night.
But I remember thinking, there's no way a person like this would date someone like me. Like, I don't really have a lot of substance to me. There's not a lot I probably can talk about outside of celebrity gossip because you're so deep in it.
Mm-hmm.
You know everything that's going on with everybody.
And it's like they say you are what you eat, what you intake. So if you're intaking this gossip
every day, constantly. And like even working in radio and having to report it, you have to still dig because you got to know the facts.
Right, so I'm not just going to one website. I need to go to 13 different websites. I need to text people about it. And it's like, is this true? Is this not? And it's like you're submerged into just bullshit, honestly, all the time. And you become what you're taking in.
And then your audience want you to have some type of opinion about it, And so, again, I was living my life as a spectator. Basically. And so I'm sitting there and I'm looking at this guy. I'm thinking he's so amazing, but there's no way he would date a woman like me. And it's one of those things where you want to go and become who you want to attract. Mm-hmm. It was time for me to go and become who I wanted to attract.
And Scottsdale jump-started that.
Yeah, like because I removed myself from an environment first, which is the entertainment industry. So I mean, I can't go to Atlanta. I can't go to New York. I can't go to LA. What's somewhere off the? And people used to say, "Well, how are you going to stay relevant?" And I'm like, if I'm relevant for the wrong reasons, I don't want to be relevant at all. Like,
but it's also scary because that's where your income's coming from.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
you really have to reinvent yourself.
Yeah.
Now, XO Necole comes into the picture how much later?
Well, after I shut down Necole Bitchie in 2015. 2 months later, I launched XO Necole. And it's only because I was scared to lose my audience. And I thought maybe if I flipped a switch on the website and brought them something new, they'll stick around. But not everybody is going to be like on that same path.
If they came from mess, they want to know who's smashing who and who cheated on who and who's throwing the money.
Some people that are evolving with you and they're like, wait, I see the direction you're going. I like this better. But then you got the people that's like, girl, where my tea? Like, what are you doing?
Right.
And then they don't really believe you're going to stay true to this switch. They're like, oh, it's only a matter of time before she'll be back.
Right.
So it's a whole thing. I had to really live, breathe. Like if I'm going to transition, if I'm going to evolve, I have to live it, breathe it. I got to commit to it.
Now, what does that look like also? Because when you leave something, I feel like God removes everything from your path. And sometimes how we earn our money and what we're doing with the money that we have has to go too. Mm-hmm. And I don't know to the extent, to tell you the truth. I know I've heard some things, but there was some interviews that you've done that you're like, hey, you basically at some point lost it all.
Yeah, or gave it all up. Like when I was in Arizona, I remember Will had started like kind of engaging me to see what I was doing with my website and also if I would come and do some work with him. And I knew I wanted to save my site. But yeah, I sold everything that I had, gave all my clothes away. I probably gave away like $20,000 worth of shoes, bags.
Just give it away?
To this St. Jude's. Because I didn't even feel like doing the whole...
No Poshmark?
I know. I didn't feel like the whole thing. Closet? And I had a time limit. I drove my car up to like a CarMax and got cash for it. And
why the desperation to get rid of everything?
Because I was moving to New York and I was like, if this deal doesn't go through with Will, I still want to fight for my brand. And I don't know if I can fight XO Necole.
Okay, so now because I know I have listeners that probably won't know. So you get rid of Necole Bitchie, you start XO Necole. Mm-hmm. Now you're 7 years into XO Necole. That transition, was there any like low point?
Yeah, let me go back. I had Necole Bitchie for 7 years. Mm-hmm. In 2015, I walked away from it 6 weeks, basically 6 to 8 weeks later, I launched XO Necole. I only had it for 2 years before Will Packer bought it. I stayed on an additional 5 years after this acquisition, which is kind of not heard of because normally founders only stay around for a year or two.
Right.
So 5 years is a pretty long time. So yeah, that was the
Okay, so now
frame.
I want to know why. Because you're in 2 years, you're now doing work that's not celebrity gossip. Mm-hmm. It's holiness. Mm-hmm. It's the black cosmos.
Holiness.
No, I mean like
holiness
not holy
in a black cosmos.
No, I meant holiness as in WHOL, not holy as in God.
Oh, okay.
Like, it's like
okay.
wholesome content,
Okay,
right?
got
It's
it.
mental health. It's like dating.
yeah.
We're not necessarily like the trashy
Yeah.
site anymore.
Yeah,
Per
exactly.
se, right?
Yeah.
Now we're trying to become better women and like have community. So that didn't fulfill you? Or did it stop fulfilling you at some point?
It does, because when I went through the acquisition, I had a big enough personal brand too that can survive outside of my website. But when I went through the acquisition, I did feel like it dimmed me a little bit. I was so focused on, let me make sure they know they made the right decision and that I don't waste their money. And now I got resources, that I became less visible in my personal brand because I'm running behind the scenes trying to launch all these different events and things. And so that's one thing that happened. I started hiring people to do the things I enjoyed. And I was stuck with the stuff I didn't.
What did you enjoy doing?
I enjoyed interviews. I enjoyed producing, creating video content, podcasting. We had the Happy Hour podcast.
Yes, yeah. I remember when, actually, I might have DM'd y'all.
Really?
When it launched, I was like, I want to produce that.
Wow, okay.
I
we needed a producer too. I was
know you
editing
did.
the episodes and everything.
I know y'all did. I was messaging my friends and they need help. She ain't seen my messages.
Girl,
I might have
doing
messaged
too
the
much.
podcast page because it was 3 girls at 1st, right? And then did it go down to 2 at some point?
It went down to 2 because I was like, at some point, I was like, all right, girl, you're doing too much. And you have no time for like a personal life. Like the
visuals were great, but I'm like, it's not sustainable if they don't have the right production behind it. I do remember that. So the podcast came and went.
Yeah, it had 2 or 3 seasons.
How many episodes was that?
I did about 7 or 8 the first season. And then I don't remember how many they did the second season.
Usually, so 93% pods don't go past 7 episodes.
Oh, really? Okay.
Once you get to 7 episodes, it's like, how do we sustain this? One, money. It's expensive. There's a lot of work to do. It's a lot of time to do. And if you're doing it all yourself,
oh my God, especially
team,
when you're having to put out clips and stuff and like build community, that's a lot.
It's a lot of work. So you're 2 years in and you basically get approached by Will Packer. He's like, I want to buy your company.
It was more so I have an opportunity. He had something he was trying to launch. And he wanted me to come in and help with the launch. But I was just kind of clocked out mentally. Like, I think before Will Packer approached me, I had did a video I put on YouTube, what I wish I had known before leaving a successful brand. And I think I had like teared up in the video and the video actually went viral and people like switched it up saying Necole Bitchy from Boston Brook or like sad news from Necole Bitchy or like it was this whole big thing. Like
twist to it.
I was trending on Twitter and Facebook and it was this big thing about me failing.
Which I've seen. A lot of it is like, oh my gosh, she lived out of a car. She didn't have anything. And I was like, what? How did we do that? So you were never like homeless. Because the internet definitely made you homeless.
No, I mean, I've been homeless before in terms of sleeping on friends' couches, but that was before the success.
Gotcha.
I've slept on every friend's couch that...
While putting things together.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I mean, it's natural to me. I have no living parents. I have no living grandparents. So, of course, you're going to default to your friends or family. And those are the people that are taking you in.
You can also create your family. I don't have a family that I go to. And it's like my friends are my
absolutely.
family. There was something that I saw online from you. It says, I started to think about how I ended up here and realized I made so many mistakes. And the number one mistake I made was trying to live up to the expectations of other people and trying to compete with my old success. We were talking about success recently. It was something at church that the pastor was talking about how we're all trying to reach success instead of living a significant life. When did you stop trying to chase success and chase a bag? Have you stopped?
I think first you have to redefine what success looks like for you first. Like I'm way happier now than I've ever been in my life.
Wow.
And I feel free. I guess with what I've accomplished, people may think I'm living in some like huge mansion, right? With like, I don't. I love our little place.
It got key fobs.
And I'm happy.
And it got security.
And I'm happy in it. Until, my family comes and my man and all that other stuff. And then we blossom into like...
my man.
Yeah, my man. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I got something to look forward to, but I'm happy with every single thing I have, from the car I drive to the place I live in. I don't compare myself anymore like I used to. I used to like maybe look at other bloggers or other influencers and see them flaunting whatever. And why don't I have that? I don't do that anymore. And I think that's a real key to happiness. And also, like you said in that quote, making sure I wasn't trying to chase. I'll say that someone asked me the other day, they said, do you think you'll ever have a company as big as Necole Bitchie? I believe XO Necole is bigger than Necole Bitchie was in terms of team, revenue, everything that they're doing. I feel like myhappyflo 2 years in makes more revenue wise than both XO Necole and Necole Bitchie did 2 years in.
Wow.
So we're talking about like one day this will be $100 million, maybe even $1 billion company with the vision I have. So to answer her question, yes, I don't just think I'll one day have companies that are bigger than Necole Bitchie. I have companies that are bigger than Necole Bitchie. It just doesn't come with the flashiness. It's a quiet success.
What's that fear every time you pivot? A lot of people are scared to move. When I left accounting, it was scary. And everyone else tried to inflict or put on me their fear of don't leave your corporate job.
Yeah.
It's a 6-figure job. You have benefits. It's safe. It's this and that. But is it safe? Because I sure did get laid off from one because the whole thing went bankrupt. So how safe really is it, right? But how do you choose to pivot without taking in the noise from everybody else or without that fear? Or how do you deal with the fear?
I think I was doing a lot of moves without I think when you start asking everybody for their opinions, now you're outside of yourself versus doing what you truly feel and want in your heart. And so a lot of moves I made, I did them and told people about them later on. They found out about it later on. But I think me and you have a different situation because you have a mouth to feed.
They be eating. They be eating. Oh, little crumb snatcher.
You have a mouth to feed. And so I get it when someone has kids and they have a husband and they have other people they have to consider in their decision making. But for me, I was like, before I get all that, let me do all the things.
But I will say, I know plenty of women, no kid, no man, still terrified. Still terrified. Now I tell people, or whenever I do things, I'm like, what's the worst that can happen? If it's not that I die or my kids die, then let me go for it.
Yeah.
You know, I know what it's like. I didn't grow up in poverty, and I always say this because I was pretty privileged growing up. I mean, I wasn't like the Kardashians or anything, but we had everything we needed, and I lived up upper middle class life, right? And I still had that fear of I won't have it, right? But what if I don't? If I don't, then will I still be able to feed them somehow, some way? You know what? The best thing now, being where I am, is like if something fails, one thing I know for certain is I'm going to qualify for them food stamps. Because I don't qualify for them anymore. So it's like, well, there's food stamps, there's cash assistance, there are all these charities that can help if at some point you fail miserably. But if you love what you're going towards, then how can you really fail other than learn a lesson and get better?
Absolutely. I mean, I feel like with the skill you have, I just always believe I don't know where I've gotten this faith from. A lot that's happened in my life, especially with losing the parents, losing the grandparents, all the loss I've had. You'd think I would be like, God, did you forget about me? Like, why?
When did your parents pass?
Why or when?
When?
They both passed 2 years. They were only 41 and 42. So very young. I've outlived my parents. But yeah, they...
so you were young?
Yeah, I was in my 20s.
Okay.
I was in my 20s. Young. Yeah, but I was, in college. Yeah, but
they passed away at the same time?
2 years apart.
Okay.
Both health-related issues, and that's probably why I got a health product, breaking the generational
but that's tough to deal with because some people might just kind of give up. Like you said, God, did you forget about me? Or they would lose complete and total faith because God don't love me, or he's not real, which is what a lot of people go to. Like, there can't be a God if he's allowed me to go through this.
Yeah, and I felt embarrassed for a long time. I just started talking about my parents passing probably maybe the last few years, but
really?
I was embarrassed for a long time.
Embarrassed about what?
Just I don't know. I think I didn't know how to process it because when my parents passed, we didn't talk about grief, right?
Mhm.
Like we do now in mental health.
Right.
And so no one knew what to say to me. So I just like went on about life, like feeling like a orphan, kind of feeling like I was abandoned.
Mhm.
But I was just like, I don't know how I'm supposed to feel. So I'm going to just overwork
So when did
to
you
cover up the grief. I'm going to just like
and that's a trauma
keep myself
response.
busy. Yeah, I'm going to keep myself busy. And so that's what I did that's where the success came from.
Well, there we go.
Yeah.
I think that's something that a lot of us go through. We have to go, or we don't have to, gosh, but we go through these traumatic moments. For me, I think what catapulted me was leaving an abusive relationship and then having this baby, which I'm in survival mode. So being in your 20s, losing your parents, you're back in survival mode. Who do you lean back on? And then your grandparents passed after or before?
One of them before, but the other after. Yeah.
So it's like, who do you rely on now but your business, right?
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
if you have, to me, honestly, I commend you because I wanted to just be under a fucking rock after this last relationship. And I couldn't because I had a kid I had to feed. And I remember saying, oh, this would be so much easier if I didn't have a kid. And I remember my therapist telling me, and I say this all the time, the only reason why you are moving is because you have a child. So you didn't go under a blanket and deal with depression that way. But depression looks very different for some people. Some don't move. Others go into like hyperactive mode.
Oh yeah, that was me. Overworking, over just doing the absolute most.
Were there any negative things that you can remember or habits that you picked up that you're like, you had to get rid of after all those years of just not dealing with it?
I honestly recently started thinking about how I definitely have a fear of abandonment, or as people say, abandonment issues from my parents passing. And I think it started pouring over into like even my work at Necole. Like I was overworking versus bringing a bunch of people to help. Like you just said, I would have produced y'all podcast. You know, I'm up here editing on weekends.
I can't believe you were doing that.
But I'm doing all this because my fear of abandonment is causing me to want to, this is how I remain in control and how I remain irreplaceable.
You posted something that said perfectionism is a response to trauma. So you were trying to be perfect.
I didn't want, and I wanted to keep my job. Like
that part.
I wanted to keep my job. I wanted to make it hard for me to be replaced. And so I'm just now processing all this now. Like a lot of the chaos that has happened in my career, even launching myhappyflo, came from those inner abandonment wounds that I had that I'm working on now. I go to therapy once a week.
I'm
there once a week.
All the bitches have therapy.
I'm in here once a week, and I'm just like
cry and let it out.
You, Jesus, it's so much I'm trying to process. And I will say, just thinking about, it was very hard for me to sell Necole because, again, I've had so many losses in my life. When I create something, it's like my baby, and then Necole was tied to community. Like Camille's in here, but Camille was a part of my EXO Tribe community. And she was a writer for Necole.
Stop.
So I was like so tied into the community that when I left, I felt like I'm leaving this huge community behind. I'm leaving my baby. Like, so it was, I think it was way more traumatic for me to sell my business than a lot of people, because I was just so tied to it because it's the only thing I had. That was what was getting me up out of bed every single day when I no longer have parents, you know, so don't have kids and that type of thing.
Wow. And that probably puts a damper in your relationship and dating as well, because if you have a fear of abandonment, which then probably goes into commitment issues because they can leave me behind. Then it's like, we screaming, my man, but are you letting the man come in?
Let me tell you, this last year has been a crash course in dating for me. I've dated some really amazing men.
And what happened?
Taught me a lot of amazing lessons. They taught me communication skills, conflict resolution, just by how gentle they were with me.
And what happened? Where they go? Are they still around?
I mean, we working on my fear of abandonment
Oh, shit.
that causes me to, I get like,
What's your defense mechanism? How do you push them away?
start self-sabotage, especially they're gentle, right?
Mhm.
You're looking for chaos. You're used to chaos. You're like, wait, this got to be too good to be true.
Right.
So you start creating chaos.
How do you create chaos? I think we all have a thing.
I don't have anything crazy. Like I'm pretty.
I mean, I'm not
putting ranches and cars
No.
craziness.
Like, I feel like I self-sabotage a lot where it's like, I feel you're not paying me enough attention. You didn't text me enough.
I'm mad. I said,
And I
I
start
put
nagging.
ranch in people's gas tank. Where'd
Sugar.
that come from?
I-
Right.
They sugar was fine.
Right. I don't do that.
I don't blow up
Like,
their houses or
I
anything.
don't-
I'm not setting it on fire.
I mean, I never heard anything like that. But
So what ends them? Do you start nagging? Do you start pulling
I
away?
think I always, a recent thing was, hi, I think, maybe this isn't the right timing. You're growing
Out of
your stuff.
nowhere?
Yeah. I start.
These poor men.
Yeah.
They in love
yeah.
and you just leave them.
And these are men that I could see being my husband one day.
Wow.
They have those type of qualities.
So, went to Arizona, got fixed up, attracted them, and still pushing them. But that's good because they're great men. So if you're not ready to receive what they're trying to give you, then you're going to damage them.
Yeah, I have to learn how to, right now I'm practicing staying in it when it gets uncomfortable for me and expressing myself, like actually letting them know, like, this is how I feel right now. Like,
That'd be so hard.
It is hard because you got to be vulnerable.
Yeah, because they're going to think I'm a little sissy.
It's okay.
And I'm like, I'm not a punk.
Girl, we in the era of femininity.
I'm trying.
With femininity, we have to tell people how they make us feel.
Yeah. I mean, it's been 2 years. I'm just now like dipping my toe back into the whole dating game.
Mhm.
But it's that fear of you could do me dirty at any point in time. And it's like, I feel like any feeling of anything, I'm like, what is that?
But we attract that. Like if we go in it with that energy, we end up attracting that. So I try to use discernment and then go into it with the best intentions and that they have the best intentions for me. But I'm getting better with my picker. My picker is
getting good?
It's amazing.
So where do you find them at?
It's amazing.
Where do we find them? Where do I go? Because it clearly is not Raya, it's not Hinge.
I will
and it's
say
not Bumble.
I did use the dating app for practice because, like, we're not gonna be like Allen Iverson. Practice. You talking to me about practice? No, you gotta get that practice in.
Yeah. It's just the apps. I have so much going on, so it's like I forget to go back on there.
So I use it. So again, I use the dating app for practice. I started in 2020, and I got really good.
So what do you do?
Because I was a hot mess 3 years. Here's the thing: when we're working all the time, sometimes our relationship muscle becomes underdeveloped. We're taking all these courses, we're coaching programs, all these things to grow in our business, but we lack the proper communication to stay in a relationship. No conflict resolution. And that was me. So I'm 2020. The pandemic comes, and I'm realizing I haven't really seriously dated anybody. I've been all about my career all this time. And the clock is ticking, honey.
And what's crazy is that I had no idea, but I asked her how old you are, and you said 43.
Yeah.
Baby, you look 25. How?
I
It
know.
must be the pills.
I just met someone recently. We're talking, having a great old time on the phone. And he definitely thought I was early.
Much younger?
I mean, most people think I'm early 30s. Yeah.
No, because you really do look it. You look great. Now,
Thank you.
how do you... Okay, I'm 36, so I'm getting older. I know at some point, maybe not now because I've been in a relationship my whole life or so. Like, I always got a man. Always had a man.
And she asked me how to get a man. But me and her
Clearly
live
didn't
different
work.
lives. I told her I've never lived with a man.
I stay with a man.
And she said... This is
They
her
be
first
all
time
in my
not
house.
living with a man. That's
My
crazy.
first time
I
not-
wouldn't even know. I hope whoever my husband is okay with us having separate living. Like we got whole wings of a house to each other, to ourselves. Like,
How about like just his and hers like sinks in a big ass bedroom?
yeah, that's
And
fine. I just need just a little bit of
But
space.
you gonna sleep with him every night?
Yeah,
Oh,
absolutely.
okay. Oh, you just want like a woman
absolutely.
cave and a man cave.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, that's
we
fine.
can sleep. Yeah, we
No,
definitely.
there's some people that are worse. Like they don't like to sleep together.
Oh, girl, what I got him for?
Right. Be up under me all the time.
What do I
unless
got a
I'm
man for?
working.
If
What do you say to those that are like, well, now you're 43 or it's too late or you're never going to find a man? I'm sure because the internet is ruthless.
Let me tell you, they can say it all they want, but I've never had so many men at my front door. Ever.
Knock, they are here.
Knock, they're here. And I don't think it's about your age. It's about your energy. And I think, again, all that hard work I put into first learning myself and how to express my needs. Because when you express your needs, you're teaching someone how to love you. I never even knew what my needs were. And so, yeah, as I evolved.
Through therapy, you're learning all this?
Therapy, books,
reading,
practice. People, I know people love their single season to get themselves together, but there's a lot you can't do in your single seasons because you don't have anyone holding a mirror up to you, showing you the weakest parts of who you are. That's what happened when you're in a relationship with someone. And so I had to get out of my single season and actually get in the game and play the game and date and date, like I said, evolved people. I'm not learning from dating narcissists. I'm dating.
But here's the thing. My last relationship was diagnosed with NPD. And
what is that?
Narcissistic personality disorder.
Oh, wow.
So when you hear like narcissist or narcissism, and where most people use it as a token word now, I dealt with the worst of the worst on the spectrum.
My goodness.
Like close to sociopath.
Oh, child.
And it was extremely scary, and you don't realize it's happening because in the beginning they're amazing.
Oh, they're charming.
And it's just so perfect. They're such great listeners.
When do they change?
Supporters.
When you move in or like?
The change happens when they're able to isolate you.
Oh,
yes.
Okay.
And they're chipping away at your confidence little by little, but they do that. They build you up so high first.
Wow.
That you're so head over heels, right? But it happens fast but slowly. Wow. And they look at what you're missing. So they'll either look like, well, you have issues with your family, or someone in your family is dying, or you have abandonment issues, or you're a single mom. Let me propose to be the dad, be a father figure that they've never had. And they show up because baby, they show up.
Ooh, child.
And then when it changes, it catches you by surprise. And now you're trying to figure out how to get that back. It must be something I did because that man is there. I've seen him. I touched him. I made love to him. He loved me. So what did I do so that man will go away? So let me get him back.
Oh, wow.
So now you spend all this time trying to get them back and they know that. So it is sick.
Oof, the cycle just feels.
Then they give you just a little bit and you're like, oh, I almost got it.
Breadcrumbing is what they call it.
Breadcrumbing, yeah. So it's really hard to leave out of there, and it happens to some of the most intelligent,
amazing people. Yeah.
And it's not just women. I know men that have been in it as well, just because once I started talking about it, I wouldn't say I would talk about it where I would make a whole platform of it, because I know some people have, and I love that they do because I go and watch their stuff. But you get so submerged into it that's all you'll ever see. And I don't want to think everyone is a narcissist or that they'll do it, because now anytime anybody's nice, I'm like, why are you being nice to me?
You got PTSD from that.
Absolutely.
How do you get out of a relationship like that?
For me, it was survival. I had to go. Once things got physical, I had to get out of there. And it's like, I had to think of my baby. And I can see when people don't have a kid, they can keep going. Or also, for me, I was blessed. I still own my home here. I still have my car here. I had a business. I didn't financially depend on him.
Oh, yeah.
So I was able to get up and leave.
Yeah.
But it is really, really hard. Have you ran into one that you felt? Yeah. Or somebody that was...
Yeah, like probably the first guy I dated. And when I got...
hell.
Yeah, the 2020, we shut down. I meet a guy on a dating app. And I was like, it was almost everything you described.
They're so perfect.
Yeah, in the beginning,
and
they're so charming.
Attentive.
Yeah, you're like, oh, okay.
How did you figure out it wasn't it?
I mean, they break consistency. It started being like a push-pull, hot, cold dynamic. Yeah.
Yeah, I really hate that.
But that was my first time ever hearing the word narcissism, and then just start Googling and seeing the characteristics, and you're like...
And that's the only reason why, with mental health, people are talking about it a lot. And like, oh, and now it's become a gimmick and people are doing it for money. And yes, there are some that are doing that. But I also appreciate the fact that whether it's depression, anxiety, bipolar disorder, or narcissism that is being spoken of, even if it's used as a weapon sometimes, because now our people will kind of, even if you just do a Google search, there's people that be like, I never heard of this, or I thought narcissism was someone that was full of themselves and just like an arrogant person.
Yeah.
Somebody that thought that they were
deep.
all that in a bag of chips, right? It's so much deeper than that. There's a spectrum to it. We all have some sense of like, you know, in order for me to do a podcast or for you to do a blog or think that someone's gonna buy your product, there's a sense of like being on that spectrum of a narcissistic trait. Like I have something better than somebody else.
Yeah.
Hey, Red, what are you up to?
Just making sure all the M&M's gifts are wrapped and the balls filled.
Remember that one holiday party when we had no M&Ms?
Oh boy, I still have nightmares.
The cookies?
Yeah, you used all the M&M's candies that were meant to decorate the party treats, to decorate snowmen. You did it again, didn't you?
They do look cute, though.
Bringing cheer, M&M's for all fun kind.
But that you're not putting anyone down for it, and you're not stepping on anybody's little neck.
Manipulation and all the other stuff that comes with it.
Absolutely disgusting. So dating is hard.
Yeah.
But it seems like you're having a good time.
I'm having an amazing time.
Are you still using the apps?
I just for practice, but like,
what do you mean by practice?
Like making sure I know how to engage with
in communication.
It's a certain way to talk to men. Oh. like just knowing how to act on a date, like all of that. Like my first date,
I can't be burping.
One of my first dates on a date app, like I came, he was so mad at me. I had on ripped jeans, I had a baseball cap on.
What was wrong with that?
He was dressed up. Like now I'm starting to attract more men that very well dressed men.
Okay.
Very well dressed, like very masculine, very well dressed men.
Okay. And you like that?
That's what I'm attracted to.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely.
But all the time?
Yes.
Nah,
I mean, no, we could be in a house in our sweats, but I like getting dressed up for a date. I like putting on my dress, and he got on his little blazer jacket. I love
how cute. Yeah, that ain't me.
I love it.
We're going to be in sweats together.
You're like, that's cute. No, that's not me. But yeah, so the dating apps for practice, but I will say most of the guys that I've attracted that I felt were in line with what I wanted, I literally slid in their DMs, or I've made comments on their Instagram posts, and over time they've slid in mine. Yeah, like
what you be saying in a DM?
I might say something like, "Look, if you put it out there, they're either gonna catch it, alley-oop it, or they're not available." So I might just ask, I don't mean to be intrusive, but are you single?
Like, she goes straight for it.
Yeah, like, well, I beat around the bush. Like,
I am so childish. There's a little GIF that's a girl shooting, and it says, "Hey." That's what I do. I don't say words.
Girl, no.
I be like, "Hey," and I miss every time.
No, and then it'll be, a back and forth, and then the type of men I like, they will initiate the date. Okay. They will pick the place. They will, give you the time and everything.
They court you.
Yeah.
I don't mean to be intrusive.
It's not.
What is it again? I don't mean to be intrusive, but what?
But are you single?
But are you single? I'm going to slurge somebody's DM today. When we leave, I'm going to scroll. Yeah.
Because here's the thing. You have to be careful when you're making a move like that, because you may get people who think you're going to set up the date. You're admitting, right. So you got to read the energy. Like if they're interested and they're really about something, they're going to take it over from there. You just put out there that if you were to ask me on a date, you're not going to get turned down because I've already come to you asking questions or showing a little bit of interest.
Okay. I like that. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to be intrusive.
But I feel like when I do the choosing, the quality is way higher because I chose them.
Yeah, because they be coming in the DMs talking about, "Hey, ma."
Like, yeah.
What?
Like, because you can attract all types of craziness. This is what you entertain. So when I go out there and I say, you know what? I like you're handsome. I like the way you move. I like what you got going on. I would love to get to know you. Like,
ooh! And they be like, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. But I don't do it often, so because I don't want anyone
intentional with it.
I'm very intentional. Look, at the end of the day, I do want to be married. I do, and not just married. I want a partner, a life partner, and
somebody that completes you.
I do want family, and so you have to date differently and make sure they want all the things that you desire. Right. They want the lifestyle that you desire. I've dated people and I could tell we just had different visions for what our futures would look like.
Right.
And so somebody would have to compromise.
I don't want to compromise too much.
Right, exactly. Or you go in dating situations and I've dated 2 guys that I've really liked this year.
I love this for you.
That I really like and back to back. So it was like no space kind of in between. And the first one, I felt like I was hiding the magnitude of who I am. I didn't step in the fullness of who I am.
So you minimize yourself.
Yeah.
Okay.
And my accomplishments. I remember I was in USA Today Modern Woman. They had Michelle Obama on the cover. They featured me on the inside, and I didn't feel comfortable sharing that news with him.
What did he do for a living?
He worked for a electric and plumbing company.
Okay.
So
you like regular niggas too?
I do.
I like that.
I do.
Okay.
I do. And he lived long distance. So we traveling. But then I meet someone after, and he took me out to celebrate every small accomplishment I had.
Aww.
You graduated your hormone health class? Let's go celebrate. Let's go get some champagne. You sold out a product? Let's go celebrate. Let's go.
Love that.
That right there.
That will get you them panties.
That right there.
What?
That right there you stuck with me.
No.
You're not
So
gonna
what
be able
happened with him?
Are we trying to?
Oh, so he's still in the
I
picture
need him
somewhere?
to God has told me that that's my person, but I need God to tell him the same thing, so we're on the same page.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we might be going to the wedding. Okay, maybe.
Absolutely.
Now let's flow into what you're doing now, because again, alignment. I think I told you this over DM. I didn't have a period for 16 years. So I had my daughter in 2005, but 2004 I was pregnant. So I didn't get a period again until I had my son.
Wow.
So I was on IUDs and whatever.
Mhm,
It was great.
mhm.
I had a great time. No period. That's amazing. Now I get this. My last period I was 17. Now I'm 34. Well, 36, but 34 when it comes back. And I don't know what to do. This is ghetto. My hormones are all over the place. And now I understand what all the memes were before, because I'd be like, that's nothing to do with me. And if it doesn't affect you, you don't pay attention to it.
What memes?
Huh?
What memes?
Like memes that say, oh, you only got 2 good days out the month.
Oh,
or
okay.
here's, I'm hormonal,
Mhm.
or PCOS, and all of these things that have to do with the hormones and menstrual cycles and all this. And I didn't relate to them before. And now I literally spend 7 days of my month, every single month, emotional as fuck, crying like crazy. I don't get any cramps. I have short periods, which is okay, I guess that could be a good thing, but not when my emotions are all over the place all the time. So I did order this from you, because as we're talking, I
Carla
didn't
definitely ordered from the website.
I
She
did.
ordered from me. Okay.
I wanted, because then I started looking at it, and I wasn't paying attention. I was like, I thought you were dope, and I was looking at you as as you, not your business or where you came from. Because even when I realized that we were working with Necole now, and you weren't a part, it didn't really matter. Then I see this, and I'm like, oh, hormone stuff. I need to get it. So I just got back from New York, and I got it. So I'm going to start them today. But what is this and why?
There's so much for me to cover right now, because you just said a mouthful. Even
Make the period. It doesn't make my period go away.
Yeah.
But,
So I will say this. Traditionally, I want to start by saying traditionally, when he's moving around, I don't know what's going on. I'm like, is he about
just checking the cameras.
So traditionally, when we were younger and we came on our periods, the doctors normally, and we had period pain or heavy flows, the doctor would just prescribe us birth control.
Yes.
Probably no testing, nothing. And now that I'm on this other side and I run this brand, I think it's so crazy, because the way birth control works is it shuts down ovulation, right? It shuts down ovulation. And normally if you go into a doctor and you have cramps, you have mood swings, you have all heavy flows, it's an underlying health issue that's either developing or you have hormonal imbalances that can lead to that underlying health issue. So I feel like it's dangerous for doctors to put women on birth control without testing them, because what happens, birth control with myhappyflo, for me, so many things led me to myhappyflo. Of course, I told you my parents passed away. I have no living grandparents. all these people in my family were on medication for years, and it just led to death. It didn't lead to them getting better.
Have you ever spoken about what they passed away from or what the medical history is?
So my mom passed from breast cancer, which ties into that product, and I'll tell you in a minute. And then my father, like he drank a lot of alcohol, so like a liver failure type of thing. And then my grandparents, we got heart attack, stroke, fibroids, all types of stuff in our family.
A ton of health issues.
A ton of health issues that could be preventable if we're eating the right nutrition. And so I read this book when I was in Arizona called "You Are What You Eat," and it was about
I've heard of it.
Yeah, it was about this doctor, and these people would come to her on their deathbed, and she would nurse them back to health through whole foods and vitamins. And I was like, wow, like this is powerful. And so that made me go and study holistic nutrition and hormones.
Dr. Gillian McKeith?
Yep. Okay. And so when I was studying hormones, I found out that most women that have fibroids or breast cancer have an abundance of estrogen in their body. It's an imbalance. So they have way too much estrogen in comparison to progesterone. I'm not going to get too scientific with it. And I also studied the plant-based ingredients that's in here. So what myhappyflo does is it has 2 ingredients, indole-3-carbinol and DIM, that is found when you eat broccoli, cauliflower, cabbage, all of those things. But you'd have to eat a pound of those a day. Gotcha. And who's doing that? No. But what those ingredients does is it lowers the estrogen in your body. And when you lower that estrogen, that's when you see fibroids starting to shrink.
Wow.
You drastically reduce your risk of breast cancer. And so that's what's so dynamic about this product. Most people take it because they want a better period. Well, when they have a better period, it's telling them that their hormones are balanced.
Gotcha.
When they have the period pain, when they have the mood swings, when they have the nausea and all these symptoms, that's a hallmark sign that your hormones are imbalanced.
So this will balance them back up. Now, should you get tested first to see where your hormones are?
I love my customers that get tested. Like there was a customer, she was having a period twice a month. And this is a customer that wanted to get pregnant, but she's bleeding during the time she's supposed to be ovulating. And she goes to the doctor. The doctor kept pushing birth control, but it's like, that makes no sense. I'm trying to get pregnant. And she came to me as the last ditch effort. Like, I want to try your product. I see the reviews you post. And I love this customer because she's testing every month. So she knows how long her luteal phase is and all that. But within a month, first of all, she stopped bleeding and she started actually ovulating.
Wow.
She wasn't even ovulating before because she had ovulation sticks. Right. And every month she just saw her cycle get better and better. And so what happened, those hormones got balanced. And so now she's actively trying. We're hoping this month is the month she get pregnant, but she's 3 months in now. And it normally takes, I love that. I've had so many customers that they thought they couldn't get pregnant and they got pregnant within, and these are people that wanted to get pregnant, but they just.
You're like, it wasn't an oops. I'm not just out here creating babies.
These are people who had fibroids, who had endometriosis, and then they'd get on the product. And
did you have any of those issues? Ever?
I think I've been using DIM and indole-3-carbinol for quite some time. I think I am probably one of my only friends that have never been diagnosed with fibroids.
Wow.
And 3 of my friends have been recommended hysterectomies. Jesus. And the only difference, well, there's 2 differences. I've been taking DIM and indole-3-carbinol for a very long time. So I'm very removed from what even period pain feels like.
Okay.
But 2, I've never been on birth control.
Gotcha.
And so going back to birth control has synthetic hormones in it, right? So you know how we tell people like the meat and the dairy, all the hormones that are in our meat and dairy, and that's what's causing these fibroids, that's what's causing these breast cancer, and it's like, but there's hormones in birth control, right. And they pump us with these hormones. And that
they just
increases
won't get vasectomies. Just get a vasectomy.
And
I don't understand.
Yeah, and that is what helps increase women's risk for breast cancer and fibroid growth is the hormones that are in these birth control pills, etc. So
you're seeing a lot. I am gonna try them. Y'all, it's myhappyflo. I have such a hard time with my period now, just because of my mood swings.
Yeah, that one of the first things you will notice when you're on myhappyflo is more balanced moods. I can't tell you the amount of men that have told me that I have this calm about me.
You do? I was about to tell you. Like, you're so like happy.
And
I'd be crying.
girl, before my Happy Flow or before I,
The
start
ingredient.
taking
What's the ingredient again?
So my Happy Flow has dimethyl-3-carbinol, which are plant-based ingredients. It also has vitamin D3, which a lot of women of color are deficient. And that is a big risk factor for fibroids as well. It has iron in it. A lot of women with heavy flows are iron deficient or have anemia. It has B6, magnesium, vitamin C.
So we all the vitamins.
Yeah, we put.
So there's like a daily vitamin.
So it literally picks up where your diet leaves off.
Okay.
And I created this formulation for women. I'm thinking about the woman. She's busy. Sometimes she's skipping breakfast. Sometimes she's working through lunch and having her first meal in the evening. So she has all these micronutrient deficiencies going on. She has inflammation in her body from junk food, coffee, all these things.
Relax. Calm down. Fuck. I literally I was eating Funyuns in New York at in the middle of the night and for breakfast.
Happy Flow for that woman because there's a combination of things that are causing these really terrible periods and these PMS symptoms.
Right. Now, aside from this, for someone, just because I'm curious, where did you learn business? Because you have to do a website and you have to know how to market. I created that
website, My Happy Flow site. I was like, we're going to have to figure it out. But I created the first Necole Bitchy site too.
And who taught you? YouTube University?
Girl, absolutely. Let me tell you, I'm going to get it done. I'm going to get it.
I love that.
I'm going to do.
That's the biggest thing that I can't stand when people like, well, I don't know how to do it.
I got to wait for, or I will utilize Upwork. I will utilize Fiverr.
Mm-hmm.
I will utilize inexpensive help on the internet, but a lot of things I've figured out myself. And even the 3 businesses in, I didn't feel too good to learn how to set that website up.
Yeah.
And I had to throw that website up in like a few days' time because I was applying for a grant. You needed a website. You needed social media. I didn't have any of that. I won that grant too, $10,000.
I know that's right. I know that's right.
But I put all that stuff. I created our social media handle. I created our website. Like I was not letting anybody. And this is before the product was even launched. That $10,000 helped me put in our first order and run a pre-order.
I love that.
And I brought our first 5,000 bottles.
I love that because you have to find a way to do it. I think you had put that you just reached 1,000 subscribers.
Yeah, and let me tell you,
that's
it is
a big
so
deal.
Hard to get subscribers to a physical product. Like, think of how many times you bought something repeatedly, but you're like, I'm not gonna hit that subscribe button. No. Like, I'm gonna get it when I need it.
Right.
So to get people locked in and say, you know what, I'm rocking with you. I want this every month. I trust y'all gonna get it to me on time. I need this in my life. I just always wanted that first 1,000. That first 1,000. And then you get that second 1,000. And then next thing you know, you got that third 1,000 and it's sustained. Now you got 6-figure revenue just coming from subscribers, not even repeat buyers that are not subscribed and not even new customers. Like those subscriptions are literally sustaining the business. It's a lower level of effort for me to run my business every month. I can be out here. I didn't bring my laptop to
I don't know
Florida.
I don't know what that's like.
I did not bring my laptop here to Orlando with me.
That must
I take vacations without bringing my laptop.
So do you feel like this brand will hit 7 years and you'll have to like move on to something else or leave it?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah? Mm-hmm. You think you'll sell it?
I want to take investment money to get this brand into as many hands as possible. You can't take investment money without having an exit strategy because that's the only way they're going to get their money back. So you got to know that you're going to exit, whether it's a go public or sell your company. No one's going to give you investment money unless they know that you're planning. So everybody, you know how we're parading all these brands, whether it's Honey Pot, Lip Bar,
and they all sold
raising money.
Opened.
They all raise money. You know, Slutty Vegan just raised $25 million for a $100 million valuation. That means they're gonna sell one day.
Yeah, or go really public.
Yeah, and the only Black woman I know that's ever gone public was Kathy Lee from TV One, Radio One, Interactive One.
Okay, yes,
that's the only Black woman I know that has a public company. It might be more.
I'm sure there's more.
It takes a lot to go public. Like it's so many
To sell stocks and how you have to
It's
have a
lot.
large company.
You better have your like books together.
Well, My Happy Flow will have its books.
It will. So, but yeah, I will say, so this goes back to what we probably were about to talk about before the podcast episode started. One of the best things I could have did for myself was earlier this year, I started soul coaching with like this Reiki healer I had, but she did something called soul coaching, and she really allowed me to first go forward 5 years. Where do I see myself? What do I want my life to look like? How do I want to start my days? You know, if I have kids, how am I, am I going to practices? What are my mornings like with my husband? What are my nights like?
6.
And so when you when you start going ahead first, you're like, all right, how do I create that life? And so
I like that.
The way I was running My Happy Flow, I was about to turn it into almost like another media company. I was running it like I ran Necole, and how I was running Necole B. I was about to do all these workshops and throw all these events and hire all these people and stress myself out and be on a hamster wheel. But it wasn't in alignment with the life I wanted for myself 5 years from now.
So what does that look like?
When I realized I do want slow mornings with my husband. A man introduced me to some slow mornings together, and I'm like, I want that.
I like it.
I want to be able to drop my kids off to practice and be there for their games and stuff. And that means I'm going to have to hire a CEO. I probably cannot be the CEO of my company with the lifestyle I want for myself.
And eventually you'll do it.
Exactly.
Once you build it up enough.
Exactly. And so I definitely encourage entrepreneurs when you're building businesses to take time to figure out what you want your life to look like, because you may have to restructure how you're growing your business. That's why it was important for me to launch subscriptions. Now I don't have to like hustle every month.
I had them with the gummies. We reached like, I think it was like 300 of them.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm not pushing that brand anymore. But definitely it was like, it's gonna come in.
Why did you
it had my ex's name on it. I didn't want to push that no more. I owned it, but I was like, I'm not pushing that anymore.
Yeah.
So I have rebranded, and I've been sitting on putting it back out, but
yeah,
I don't know.
And I will say the groundwork, the first 2 years of growing a product-based business was a lot. Putting the automations in place, the different flows, your welcome flows, your abandoned carts, browse abandonment, your text flows.
And you do this all yourself?
I hire email marketing companies to but we got so many flows in place right now.
But that's great, because then you can attract more new customers, and they can see them, and you're in everybody's face. Because email marketing is super important.
I want to say a lot of people jump into ads and you don't even have automations set up. So people are coming to your site, but you don't have a way to capture their info. And I will say, until a person gives you their text or their email, you're renting the customer from these social media platforms. They're not your customer.
They're not.
Now, when they're giving you their text, their SMS, their phone number, and their email, now you can nurture that relationship through newsletters, through offers. And so, yeah, it's been an interesting journey. And that's why I also partnered with a great fulfillment center and warehouse, so that I'm not shipping the product. That's good. I can just spend my time focused on marketing.
I love that.
And they're shipping out the product and taking the orders. And so I'm just growing my business.
You're working smarter, not harder.
So much smarter. And my life is so much more fulfilling. I love what I do.
And that means you're working on yourself too, because you come from a chaotic life. So chaos means you would be doing all the things to do what you're comfortable with, and you like that comfort zone of what you grew up with. So you're now getting comfortable with the soft life.
I'm comfortable with the soft life and making sure that I'm spending at least 70% of my day in my zone of genius.
I like that.
That keeps me soft. That keeps me warm, creative.
And you like the marketing and the creative aspect.
Exactly.
And that's what you like to do.
I mean, we created this really cute sticker sheet that we're sending out over the holidays with orders. And it has all these like little phrases that people want to put like in their journal or something to remind them of their magic and all that.
Such a girl.
Yeah.
And I love girly stuff.
That type of stuff excites me. And we put together a holiday gift box that we might be sending out to some editors and stuff like that. Like all that stuff is fun and exciting. Working with the manufacturer
I know. I got
with that vitamin.
Like, what is this?
7-day vitamin case.
And then I saw it and I was like, oh, I always mess up I never took my vitamins. I don't know where they are. And I had a kit, but it was ugly. I'm like, I like this one. I might put my little zinc in here, my vitamin
Show them
D.
your 7-day vitamin
Yeah,
case
look,
with
my
the
little
mirror.
I love it.
So you can't even tell what it is on the outside.
I couldn't.
Exactly.
I thought it was makeup.
So you can have that on your desk and people not know that you got a million vitamins in
Right.
there.
I love the whole pink. I've been into like pink the whole past year. I don't know why, but I love the whole thing. I'm excited to start taking it. I do want to thank you for coming.
Yeah.
Like you literally like flew here to
did
the
fly
O.
here.
You came to the O. I love my
I
city.
I knew I had to do this podcast and I love your energy.
Thank you.
And just to wrap up what I was saying about everything else, like I literally feel like I'm living a life that's in alignment with the future I want for myself now.
I love that word, alignment.
Yeah. Like the business is in alignment. There's one thing I want to say too, because a friend of mine, I think she mentioned not liking when a guy may ask her what she does on the first date or something like that. But I feel like we spend a lot of time doing what we do.
Yeah.
So
I
that's
can't
a
not
huge
tell you
part of what we and some people, I know people might say, well, you don't have to talk about what you do the whole date. But I feel like if you're not proud of what you do, and you have a problem with people asking you about what you do, it's probably because you're not living in your purpose, one. Mm-hmm. But you should be super proud about what you do. And I wasn't when I was a gossip blogger. Mm-hmm. I would do that pause when people would say, so what do you do? And I just like shrink back. And that was my sign that I wasn't in alignment with what, the life I wanted to live. And now, like, when people ask me, I'm excited to tell them about what I'm doing and how this product is changing women's lives. And guess what? When you talk about what you do and you're excited, other people are going to go tell people what you do and they're going to be just as excited about what you do.
And even when there's in dating, men are like, oh my goodness, she does what she does. Because
and they're telling their family. They're telling their friends. Mm-hmm. I've seen men actually in front of me talk to another woman about what I'm doing and say, tell them, like with excitement.
Love that.
Right? And I used to be like, well, why don't they tell people about what I do, or are they not proud of what? It's the way you relay what you do.
You have to be your biggest fan.
And then they're going to take the energy of how you told them what you did, and they're going to tell other people. So I want to remind people of that when we're out here and we're shrinking back and we don't want to tell people, no, you tell them with excitement what you do.
It's a little bit hard. I do this all day long, so it can't be someone who doesn't like what I do because I love producing.
Yeah.
Like being in front of the mic, I love because I get to meet people like you, right? And I get to hang out and I'm like, I like her. And I get to meet them and I make a lot of friendships, build relationships around all of this. I don't do it often, but even when I'm on sets, like I meet different people, I open different opportunities. But at the same time, I love what I do. So whoever's talking to me on the first date, a couple years ago, they'd be like, what are you doing? If I said podcasting, they'd be like, what? Mm-hmm. What are you doing? Now, finally, people know what the hell a podcast is. And it's like, just like saying I have a TV show or something, or I produce TV shows, what that would mean to other people. Or because I'm in radio, I'll say I'm in radio. There are times that I just don't want people like looking me up.
Yeah, but they're gonna have to know. Like,
right. So sometimes I'm like, do I want to say something? But it's like,
for me, I'm like, I want to wean them out a little bit faster. So if that means...
But I'm scared because I feel like...
I'd rather you on the first date realize this isn't it for you than we're cool and we're chill. And then suddenly you got a problem with what I do. Like, good.
But what about the ones that... there's so much information about us on the internet that they can use it to kind of like... I don't know. I get scared that they'll use my information to lure me in and they know more about me than I know about them. You never think about that?
No.
Okay.
I don't anymore. I don't anymore because again, it's all in our energy that we put out there.
Right.
So if we're like,
we're more aware.
Yeah, we're more aware. And discernment is so you can tell on that date. You can tell, like you know the red flag.
I still like a little toxicity, and I realize that because
you like a little chaos.
I'm working on it, but not for a long time. I'm still like attracted to it.
What does the toxic and the chaos?
Boy.
What does that look like?
Like they up to no good, but they're like fun and they're big and like they're fun. But you know that they're toxic. Fun, like they just they make me laugh and they want to go outside and they be hanging out, or maybe not like out like in clubs or whatever, but it's like, let's go here, let's go to this show, let's hang out, I feel like, or they'll say some real toxic shit and I'm like, what the fuck?
Like, that was your sign to run, but
right?
You're like, you know what?
But I'm like, but I'm not gonna
okay,
take it serious, and that's what's been happening the past couple of weeks since I started like chit-chatting with people. I'm already at the point where I'm like, oh, I'm a little attracted to it, but also it's like I could never, because I can tell, or for a long period of time, it's gonna make me like sick. Like I don't like that. So I'm working on taking in more of the calm guy, and that didn't feel good to me before because I needed that like extra love and extra text messages and extra attention, but that eventually goes south.
Yeah,
it's like I just needed to be safe.
I need emotional intimacy.
Yes.
I definitely need a man that's gentle with me.
Yes.
I like when men handle me with care. Even I could tell, even in the way they express themselves with me, they're choosing the right words because they want to make sure.
Getting on the app.
I love the men who they sandwich method. So if there's a tough conversation, they come first and they pour into you first, telling you how amazing you are, the things you're doing right. And then they might bring in that tough conversation. But then they follow it up with even more positivity on the back end.
I want me a sandwich.
Yes.
I want a sandwich from the boys.
Yes,
I do.
I love those type.
I need more communication. I gotta tell the guy that I'm talking to right now. He started pretty good. He's old and obey.
Is this the guy you were talking about on live?
Mr. Fix It?
Oh my God, no.
Yes.
Should I tell the people how you went on live and she was getting she was doing her makeup, getting ready for a date. And like, it was so cute. It was so cute.
Love him. He gets from the past.
I mean, I almost. We gonna wait until the mic is off because I want to know how the date went. I'm like, she came back and she didn't.
I was cheesing. Let's just say I couldn't say much, but I'll tell you. I want to go downstairs to eat with you.
Okay.
So we'll talk about it. But I just see some of the things from the past that like kind of used to bother me, which is he's very quiet. So I'm like, I need more communication. And he was trying at first, but I think he's falling back into like what he's used to. So I'm just gonna try to continue the conversation, like, hey, this is happening, or help this. But I feel like I'm doing it. When I do it, I nag, or I feel like I'm nagging.
So there's an art to these men that taught me. They taught me it's an art to it.
Okay,
it's an art to it. So I want to, but I want to know real quick before we get off, like, how are we expressing? Well, what is, when you say you need more communication, what does that mean?
I need more validation because he's a very quiet guy, and he showed his love language, or the way he shows it, is with acts of service. So I'll be picked up from the airport for sure. He'll come and fix anything. He'll help me with anything I need. He'll be there. But I also need words of affirmation. So the acts of service got him down packed. Yeah. But he's a mute.
Like, not
you
literally.
I
words of affirmation is a big
words
one. Reassurance.
Yes. And I thought that was a negative thing.
It's funny because my therapist, I kept telling her I need reassurance.
I do.
And she said, I'm afraid if you're asking for that from a guy, he's going to mistaken that as being needy. And she said, what does reassurance look like for you? And I said, well, communication, as you said.
Tell me I'm
communication
pretty.
And support. And she said, well, maybe if you use those words, it might come across to them a little bit better. But I do also think when we're asking for communication, we have to kind of guide them into what we mean.
Yeah, and we have to teach them. I'm not opposed to teaching you how to love me, because how are you supposed to know that? You're not me.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, I remember my ex would be like, I'm not gonna teach nobody how to love me, how to treat me. And I was like, nigga, shut up. Like, stupid. How am I supposed to know what you want?
Right.
But clearly you're a psychopath, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But I'm not opposed to teaching someone who's willing to learn and taking what I'm saying. Because I'm not gonna teach it for you to wipe your ass with it.
Yeah.
Like, you need to, teach
you.
That's
the best when they apply, like when you approach them about something in a way that's positive. I always, when I'm trying to get a change behavior, I always ask questions and I try not to use you statements. Like, when you do this, because when you use you statements, when we use you statements, it puts people on a defense. They're ready to, they might gaslight, like they're ready to defend themselves. So they're going in defense mode before you even began. So
I'm about to sandwich a little bit today.
yeah, sandwich.
I'm about to sandwich.
A guy I dated would use we statements a lot. So it wasn't about you versus I versus we versus the problem. So I've learned a lot from.
I'm learning a lot right now because I'm about to go do a little sandwich. And then
like tell him all the things you really like and say,
Okay,
I really would like to hear like what do you want to hear?
I want him to slap my ass when he walks by me. Or what? I'm gone a lot, right? So we're not spending a lot of time. It's like just random I miss yous or random like I'm glad you're having a great time or little things like that, which I don't think come natural to him.
Yeah.
But if he's willing to do that, then we would be fine because everything else we're good with.
Yeah. See?
I just need those
Just need that little
words.
tweak.
Yeah, he gonna have to tweak a little bit.
Yeah. You gotta give us the update on like how the sandwich method.
I am.
work for
I'm
you.
about sandwich store, Public subs me, okay? I'm about to be all in there sandwiching all day.
I'm excited. This
Me
about to be her new
too.
boo. Watch. Because that's just a
But I
small
also
tweak.
still
I feel
wanna
like that's a small
date.
tweak.
I also still want to date.
Well, yeah, that's fine.
I don't know. We'll figure it out. Well, we wrap up every episode with a Bible verse. And today I was actually recording with This Too Shall Pass, producing that. And someone wrote her because she was getting ready to go to court to do some things. And they were like, you need to read Psalm 91 before you go in, which is the prayer of protection, is also my son's name.
Oh.
So I wanted to bring in, there's 2 verses of Psalm 91 that I love. And if it resonates with you or with anyone listening, for me, it's huge because I'm always like, I want protection for my family, and my son's name is that. And Psalm 91, verse 7 and 8 is 1,000 may fall at your side, 10,000 at your right hand, but it will not come near you. You will only observe with your eyes and see the punishment of the wicked. And I think that a lot of times we're like, there's so much going on around us, and it's going to affect us, and it's going to hurt us, and it's going to break us down. But if we have the faith that we're supposed to have, and we're truly believing, all of the commotion around us and all of the evil that's happening, it's going to be right there at our feet, at our side, but it will not touch us. And I've been there. I'm in there right now, watching people and things crumble, and I'm still right here, right? And it's like, I didn't get a scuff on me. There's like nothing, and things are still happening. Yeah, there are things that happen, but I can see with my own eyes, and I've been able to witness the punishment of the wicked. And to me, that is like, I'm seeing it. So I have to believe that it's happening, which also leads me to, I need to act right. And I need to do right. And I need to make sure that I'm moving in the right way and that I'm not being a hypocrite or anything like that. I'm not perfect.
Yeah.
You know, and owning my imperfections. But it's not saying, well, I'm imperfect and whatever. It is what it is. No, it's like, I might have done this wrong. Let me fix my wrong. Let me continue to walk in my faith. And let me continue to work on myself so then I can show that to my child. Like this morning, he was not having it going to school. And I just prayed in the car on the way here. I'll be crying, so I didn't take that pill. I was really emotional because I'm like, what a blessing to be able to walk into the daycare, and they're like, go ahead and go in with her and sit with him on the floor and take an extra 10 minutes because this is my business. And if I'm late, I'm late.
Absolutely.
You know?
You don't have to run out and clock in and be on somebody meeting.
There's no white man waiting for me nowhere. And if I'm late, I'm late. And I was able to give him that extra time where with my daughter, I would have been like, take her, I gotta go because I'm gonna get fired and then I can't feed her and then I can't pay the rent and I can't. There's so much there.
And y'all, I can't believe this girl got an 18-year-old. I cannot.
A whole 18
Can you believe this? You look amazing, okay?
Ooh, that girl. You know when you're 18, you snap back right quick. then you get them in your 30s and in your 40s.
I was like 18. Like I had to stop the recording. Like, what?
18.
Wow.
A whole grown little woman. But just knowing that I'm able to see that I'm being protected at all times.
Yeah.
So if that resonates with anyone, just read all of Psalm 91.
Yeah.
Because it's a great one. Like I really love that psalm, and we are protected at all times. And you are too.
Yeah.
And so is your business. And regardless of what you do, like I am really excited to take this and to watch it continue to flourish.
Oh my gosh. I this is one last thing because I know we're running long, but sometimes the magnitude of how many people this product is going to impact one day and what it's doing for people overwhelms me, especially as a Black woman. Like I don't know anyone that looks like me that's in this industry doing vitamins for hormone health and helping women with fibroids, endometriosis, and that type of thing. And I think that's why you don't see me promoting it on my timeline a lot, because I feel like even the thought of who I'm going to have to become is not only scary to me, but potential people who date me.
Mm-hmm.
And I even have to date differently, knowing who I'm going to become. Like I can't be messing with the.
You can't. I remember Laurent telling me very clear, whatever you do, do not. I think we made a clip of it because he was like, do not make yourself smaller. Whoever it is will take you in your entirety for who you are and what you're doing. And if this product becomes the next, like, I don't know, Honey Pot or Vagisil, I don't know, it's the biggest woman thing I could think of.
You're so silly.
No, but you know, those huge brands, it's like you're doing something positive and something you can be proud of.
Something I could be proud of. And so I had to, like I said, I had to make sure the friends I'm surrounding myself with, the men I date are reflective of who that person needs to be to grow this company and to represent this company in a positive way. I want when I walk in a room or my man walk in a room, they get it. Like,
right. No, and that you continue to keep your faith up too. To
absolutely.
Shield yourself from, my goodness.
Yeah.
So many things are going to come your way because the bigger you are, the more positive things that you do, the more the devil tries to come to destroy. And he will throw everything, whatever he can that will stick.
Yeah.
So thank you again for being here.
I want to say I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
Just everything you're doing. I
appreciate you.
How you pushing through as a mom and with the, like, you know, but your own business. And I know it's not easy, but you're out here doing it. And
it's all about who you have around you. I say it all the time. If it wasn't for Carlos here and the team at Hi Hello Labs when I came back to make everything possible for me to even get back on the mic because I didn't want to my team members who edit flawlessly, who make sure everything is out on time, to my clients trusting me, because it's like, I was just talking, I think it's Megan texting her because I don't create a close bond with my client just because they're clients, you know?
Yeah.
And it's a little bit different. It's business, but I just love that I can appreciate them and they can appreciate me and we can still have that like realness to us.
Yeah.
And it's because I love what I do.
Absolutely.
Right. And it's like the second that it doesn't align with me anymore, alignment is huge for me. If you don't align with me, I don't care how much money it is. I won't take it.
Absolutely.
I won't take it.
And that's how we get to true happiness, making sure we're choosing our clients. We're choosing the people we work with, our contractors.
And you're choosing your clients with this. You're like, I want women that have mood swings. That's me.
Yeah.
So I'm going to take my first 2 today for sure. You guys can go to myhappyflo, right?
myhappyflo. So if you have a painful period, heavy flows, if you have mood swings, if you have PCOS, endometriosis, fibroids, this is a product that will change your life. They are calling it miracle in a bottle. I
love it.
They call it life-changing, game-changing. There's women that thought they never, ever experienced a pain-free period. And now they are. And that's beautiful.
My best friend, Wendy. She goes through hell with her period. I'm like, ugh. I'm like, my PMS is hell for her.
Mine, it's a whisper in the night. Like, it's the best.
It's the best.
It's the best. I don't have to plan.
I've never heard anyone describe their period as
the best. We in sync. We besties. Like, it's the best.
Well, y'all could find her on social media. What's your name?
Hello Necole, HELLONECOLE, and then myhappyflo, MYHAPPYFLO.
FLO. Now, you can find us here at Pivot with Purpose, Carla Ramirez on all socials. And if you're looking to launch a podcast, all you have to do is go to ideatolaunchpodcast.com. The self-paced course is you get money off by using Pivot. And if you're looking to just figure out if this is the space for you, if you want to do a podcast, just do a regular consultation. It's 20 minutes, and I will let you know if you even should work with me, if I can help you in any way, shape, or form. If I can't, I will be completely honest with you until you find someone else that can help you. Or I won't. I just will say I won't work with you. But definitely, I will give you an honest opinion. Thanks again for showing up for another week of Pivot. Carlos is about to throw me out the window. Gotta go. Goodbye.